Hello my friends and welcome to JP Gaming Podcast episode number 5. So today we've got some news to talk about. We've got a little retro bite and we've got the games I've been playing. But first of all, we've got our little opening, which I dedicate to a game every week. So today's game is Vandal Hearts. And following on from last week's choice, which was Suikoden, this is also a game developed and published by Konami. It was released in Japan on October 25th in 1996, and then it coming to Europe on June the 1st, 1997. And it was released for the PlayStation, and it was later ported to the Sega Saturn. So it's a turn-based tactics role-playing game this time. More of a turn-based strategy game in the vein of Final Fantasy Tactics, that kind of style. So it had a couple of follow-ups. It had a sequel called Vandal Hearts 2, which was also on the PlayStation. And then a few years later it got a prequel, which was called Vandal Hearts Flames of Judgment. And that was on the PSN and Xbox Live Arcade. And I played both of them. And I've got to say, Flames of Judgment actually wasn't that bad. Being a big fan of Vandal Hearts, so I was pleased that I was pleased when it came out, and we got a little game and it carried the series on. So Vandal Hearts scored positively across the board, ranging anywhere from 70 to 80% or 7 to 8 out of 10. So myself, I had come across this game just randomly down a market. A Sunday market. There was a little independent game stall there where he had just loads of games out, and I see Vandal Hearts there, and it was going really cheap at the time. I think it was around about £15. So I picked it up, looked at the back of the box, as that's what you had to go on back then, was game art and box cover art. So I liked the look of it, being a fan of those types of games anyway. I've always kind of liked my strategy games, and I picked it up and I absolutely loved it. But the interesting story is in the little game manual. Obviously, they always advertised at the back one of their other games, and it was actually Suikoden, and that was where I came across Suikoden. I'd never heard of it, but because I liked Vandal Hearts so much, I went and picked it up, and then it turns out that became one of my best ever games. So that's why I've picked those two over the past coming weeks. And that was today's game. So what we're going to do, we're going to jump straight into news. We've got a few bits of news this week. There isn't a lot. So again, it's probably going to be around about 20-30 minute show by the time I add in what I've been playing section. There's a few games this week, so that might be a little bit chunky. So yeah, let's jump on in. So the first bit of news is God of War for the PS4. Which was released on the PS4, has received a 4K and 60 frames per second patch, so 60 FPS patch, and that is now live, and obviously that is a PS5 patch, so when you launch the game it gives you the option to play in the enhanced mode, and it just runs at 4K and 60 FPS. So I've not tried it myself. I've got the patch updated. It came earlier in the week, so I've got it installed, but apparently it runs very nice, it runs very smooth, it looks like a PS5 game. Obviously, with it being 4K, it does add a bit to the quality. It makes it look nicer. I've seen the first boss battle. There's a video of that going around. I believe that's what they put out as their official footage, and that looks very nice. I mean, that fight is absolutely amazing anyway, and a great way to introduce the game. So with that running at 4K 60, I can imagine will just be insane. So I was a big fan of God of War. I've always liked the God of War games, and I really enjoyed the direction that they took God of War in. So I'll be looking forward to. I do intend to play through it again, or at least try it in with the new enhanced mode. Whether I actually finish the game or not, I guess that remains to be seen. It's all going to be down to time and what else I'm playing, but I'm definitely going to give that a go. So maybe during the week I'll give that a little go, and if I do, I'll probably report on it next week. So keeping in the PlayStation theme, there was also a new PS software update for the PS5 this week, and the update included a couple of little fixes, but the main fix was to fix a issue with installing the PS5 upgrades to PS4 games. So there was a problem that when you was upgrading from your PS4 version to the PS5 version, it was also installing the PS4 version from the game disc if you was doing it from a disc. And this has now fixed that. So obviously that's quite good, because I know there's been a lot of confusion about people not even knowing what versions they're playing. I mean, me myself, I've actually not come across that, because I kept up to date with the news. I was aware of where you had to look, and I was aware of the issues that people were having, so I kind of kept an eye on it. But I've got to say, when I upgraded FIFA, it was a bit confusing to try and figure out how to get the PS5 version to be the default, and then I realised that the PS4 version was installed as well, and then I had to delete that, so now it just defaults back to one. And the same thing actually happened with Call of Duty, and that was just a digital download. But where I had the Call of Duty installed on my external hard disk from my PS4, and I put it in, and I added my external hard disk to my PS5, it picked up that game and then wanted to install the PS5 version. So again, I had both on there, and it didn't give me a warning to say that I've actually got two versions installed. So it'd be nice if they could add that at some point, because you'd think it would just automatically say, we are going to delete the PS4 version, are you happy with that? And then you just click yes as some kind of prompt, because why would you want two versions installed? And if you've got a PS5 and you've got the version, it gives you an update, whether that's a paid update or a free update. Why would you even want the PS4 version? You automatically, obviously, want the PS5 version. So you think that it would just do that automatically. So hopefully that's something that they can sort out and iron out. I mean, I guess there's going to come a point hopefully in the near future, where that isn't even going to be a problem, because games will just be PS5 compatible from the start, and there won't be no upgrades, and the PS5 install base will get bigger and bigger, and there won't be no need for this anymore. So hopefully it ain't going to be a problem for too much longer, but I guess we will see. For the next bit of news, I guess this is maybe the biggest bit of news, and that is that Mass Effect have announced that there will be a Mass Effect Legendary Edition coming out, and that's coming out on May the 14th, so that's pretty soon. We ain't got too long to wait there. Mass Effect Legendary Edition is for the PS5 and the Xbox Series, and it includes Mass Effect 1, 2 and 3 plus 40 DLC, and it's all been remastered and runs at 4K. So obviously I know Mass Effect has got a huge following. I myself absolutely loved Mass Effect 1 and 2. 3 I wasn't too keen on, it was okay. Never played Andromeda because I just heard so many bad things about it, and I just wasn't really interested in it from what I see. But I think, depending on the price for this, I'd imagine it's going to be full price. But this may be something that I'll pick up, because to play through Mass Effect 1 and 2 again will just be in 4K as well, remastered on the new consoles, should be pretty impressive, and should be quite a game to play. So depending on what else comes out between now and then, if there isn't much release, I know we've got Mario coming out. So if there isn't much else, I don't know if I'm going to be picking up Resident Evil. I might not. So Mass Effect could be the game. It could be the one that I get stuck into. Obviously they're quite chunky, and I'm sure it's going to sell very, very well, and it will keep people tied over until the new Mass Effect comes out, whatever that's going to be. And then the next bit of news is that Gearbox, so they're the developers of Borderlands, they've been acquired by Embrace Group in a 1.3 billion deal. So they will go into Embrace's group of current developers, and their existing group includes THQ Nordic, Saber Interactive, Conch Media, Amplifier Games, Invest, and Coffee Stain Holding. So I believe that was THQ originally, and then they became Embrace. So I'm not entirely sure of the details of that, but I believe that was the case. So Borderlands have been so Gearbox have been acquired by them. So I guess that will be interesting to see how we go going forward with them. But I'm sure they're going to get some investment, and hopefully continue to make some good games. We've also had news, speaking of Resident Evil, that I briefly mentioned earlier. We've had some news that Lady Dimitrescu from Resident Evil Village, so she's been getting a lot of attention recently online, and it has been revealed from one of the developers that she is actually 9'6". So she is 9'6" tall, and that's if you include her hat and high heels, apparently. And that is 2.9 meters. So she is a very, very tall woman, and I'm sure that will be quite intimidating for the players there, strolling around the mansion or the castle, whatever you are going to be in. So that was just a fun little bit of news there that I've seen. I see she was going viral. I looked into it, and I see that was kind of the news that was coming out. So quite interesting. We've had news that Final Fantasy 14, so there was a recently announced expansion pack that got announced this week. There's a little trailer, and that will be called Endwalker, and that's coming out in the fall of 2021. And there's also an open beta starting on April the 13th, and the open beta is for the PS5 version of Final Fantasy 14, and that will be a free upgrade for anybody who already owns the PS4 version. So if you own that, jump on in, go check yourself out some information and get on that beta, because I'm sure it's going to be something you're interested in. I've heard that Final Fantasy 14 is now actually a very good MMO. And I've heard it's improved loads since it originally came out, and some of the new expansion packs are meant to be very, very good. Me myself, I've not tried it. Don't particularly have the time for MMOs, but I am a big Final Fantasy fan, and it's something that I've always been just interested in, just on the side. But I won't be picking it up. But it's obviously great news for people who are still playing Final Fantasy 14 and are looking to continue to want to play it on their PS5. So hopefully that'll be nice. I believe it's a full PS5 version, so it's going to have 4K, it's going to have 60, and it's going to have all the new features. So it'd be nice to see if they introduce some of the features of the control pad. Hopefully they will. So I guess we'll see. So if anyone out there who is listening is trying the beta, then get in touch and let me know. Let me know if they are going to include any of these new features. So you can drop me an email there on contactjpgaming@gmail.com. That's contactjpgaming@gmail.com. So we have one more bit of news today before I wrap up and go into my little retro bite section. So the final bit of news is that it's kind of gaming related, but it's that Lego have announced that they are making a Sonic Green Hill Zone set, and that was apparently a fan-made set that was on Lego Ideas and reached 10,000 supporters. So that got approved, and is now going to become a live set. I've seen a little picture of it. It's going around on Twitter and on Instagram. So you can check that out. It looks pretty cool. I'm a bit of a Lego fan myself. I probably won't get the Sonic one, but I do have the NES Lego, the NES console set that they released, and that's pretty cool. You get a little cartridge, and you get a control pad, and you get a little CRT TV that has a little scene from Mario in it, and it's really cool. And it was quite expensive, but being that the NES was my first console, I just couldn't say no to it, and I knew that if there come a point when I wanted it, I probably wouldn't then be able to get it. So I just bought it while I had the chance, and I don't regret it, because it was an amazing build, and it looks really nice on my little display cabinet. So for any Lego fans out there who obviously like Sonic, I'm sure this is something that you may pick up. Maybe stick it next to your Mario sets if you've got some of the Mario sets. And yeah, it's good. It's good that we're getting some gaming Lego sets now. So hopefully that will continue. Maybe we'll see some more Sega sets in the future. You never know. We may get a Mega Drive Sega Genesis set in the vein of the NES one. That'd be pretty cool. It'd be quite nice to have that, or maybe like a Dreamcast or a little Game Gear or something like that. It'd be pretty cool. So for our little retro news bite, it's just going to follow on from last week's news. So last week I reported that there was a Sega prototype, a Sonic prototype for Sega Genesis that had been found, and that was listed on eBay, and the starting price was £3,000, and it was due to end last week. So I watched that, and at the time of last week's podcast there wasn't any bigs on it, and I guessed that would probably change nearer the time of ending, and it did. And the final ending price, the cart sold for 9.6, so £9,600 the cart sold for, which is pretty insane, and was probably a bit dearer than I thought it was going to go for, actually. But that is absolute madness, and someone there who obviously has quite a bit of money has acquired themselves a bit of gaming history. So I hope they have fun with that, and I hope they enjoy it and keep it in immaculate condition. You never know, it might even be going into a museum or something, or just the hands of a collector, I guess. But yeah, that's a nice bit of gaming history there that somebody's picked up. I think if I would have stumbled across that cart, I've got to admit, although £9,600 would have been nice, I think I would have been very tempted to keep it as well, just to have that bit of gaming memorabilia there. I'm not quite sure what I would have done. But obviously the person who found it decided that they had no need for it, and they've sold it, and they've made themselves a tidy little profit, and I'm sure the person who's bought it is very happy with their purchase. So I think so. That's it for the news this week, and that's it for the retro news bite. It's pretty short. Not much news to talk of this week, and I know I sort of maybe went through it a little bit quickly. But there wasn't much more that I could find, really. Nothing of any note anyway. Nothing that I found particularly interesting and felt the need to report on. So hopefully next week we'll have a bit more. Hopefully we're going to have some news of some more games coming out. It's always nice because it's gone a little bit quiet at the minute. But I guess that's expected this time of year anyway. And also with COVID, we're starting to see the impact of that now. So hopefully we'll move out of this soon and things can pick up and we'll start seeing some new games that are really going to take advantage of these next gen systems, because at the minute we've not really got anything. I've kind of finished with what I've got and I'm just going back through and playing some of my PS4 backlog, which is not a bad thing. It's not a bad thing at all. It's always good to actually get a chance to play some of the games that you wanted to play but you couldn't for whatever reason. Which leads me into the what have I been playing section. So following on from last week, I did play and I finished Pikmin 3. So I played some more of that and I finished it. I didn't have long to go. I was on the final chapter or the final area when I had done last week's podcast, when I recorded last week. And so yeah, I just had to make my way through that area, beat the final boss and watch the ending. So that was good. I really enjoyed that game. Lots and lots of fun. I've already said loads about Pikmin. I can't say enough good things about it. I kind of feel the urge to go back and play the first ones now on the GameCube, so maybe I'll do that. I'm not entirely sure, but yeah, if anyone out there has got a Nintendo Switch and has not checked out Pikmin, then please do. There's a demo on the store which is free, so you've got nothing to lose. I think it's around 2 hours. I think the demo is a 2 hours demo. And you can take your save data over to the full game if you choose to purchase it, or you can start again. It's up to you. But go ahead and check that out. It's a great game, and for a free demo, it's quite a nice chunky demo, and it is the full game as well. So you start from the beginning, and you can see what the game's got to offer. And if you like it, then go pick it up because it is good. I do love it, and I hope that it sells very well. I hope it's selling well at the minute, so I hope it continues to sell well because I'd like to see a nice sequel come in not too distant future. So I've also played a little bit more Cyber Shadow. I've done a couple more levels on that, or chapters if you want to call them chapters. That game is amazing. I love it. I absolutely love it. The soundtrack is outstanding. They've really captured the feel of the NES style platformers, of them platformers of the 8-bit generation, and they've captured it in every sense, including how difficult it is, because some of these levels are challenging, and I didn't particularly have too much difficult on the first couple, and I was like, oh okay, that's nice, maybe the difficulty isn't going to be like it was, but as you get on, the difficulty is there, and it's very much about learning patterns and learning timings of the enemies and timings of the moving platforms and when to jump. It is very much in an old school style game where it's very difficult, and once you learn it, then it's easy, but it takes some time to learn, and you've got to be very precise at times, and you've got to have a lot of patience. So I'm dipping in and out of that. I do intend to finish it, but it is quite hard. I am finding it quite difficult, the level I'm on, so I'm sort of playing it in little bursts here and there. And yeah, hopefully I'll finish that soon. I think I'm just over halfway. I think I'm on chapter 8, and I think there's 11 in total, or maybe I'm on 7. I'm not entirely sure. Might be on 8. So I'm quite far in, and that's obviously why it's getting challenging. But yeah, something I want to stick with, and I hope to play a little bit more of that during the week. So yeah, so maybe a bit more to report on next week. Another game I played and I tried out, I only done a little bit, and that was to record a video that I've not uploaded yet, but there will be a video coming on my YouTube channel, and that was Desperados 3, as that was on Game Pass for PC. So that's a little like strategy point and click type game in the style of Commandos. And it's Western, so that's really cool. I had a lot of fun with that. I was a big fan of Commandos back in the day, and I thought I would check this out as it's a free download, as I've got Game Pass, and I wasn't disappointed. I mean, my intentions were, and I say in the video, my intentions were to do a little video. I wanted to record it, put a video on, show people what it was like, and I didn't really think I'll probably go back to it. But after playing it and getting involved in the first level, I instantly knew that I liked that game, and I fully intend to jump back in and play some more. I've actually done a couple more levels since the video, I haven't had a chance to play much within the past couple of days, but I do intend to jump back into that and progress and see how I get on. Whether I finish it or not, I'm not sure. I usually get quite far in those games and then end up dipping out because something else grabs my attention. But we will see. So I'm definitely going to give it another shot. So yeah, if you have PC Game Pass and you're a fan of Commandos, then check out Desperados 3 because it's a very, very good game. Another game I've been playing, which is only a little bit and I've only just started, which is The Last Guardian. So I've been playing that on PS5, but obviously that's a PS4 game and it's available on the PS Plus collection. It's a game I was looking to pick up anyway, and then I noticed that it was on that, so I was like, oh, I'll download it and I'll give it a go after being recommended to me by a couple of my friends. The game is interesting. So it's from the makers of Ico and Shadow of the Colossus. So it's Japan Studios, PlayStation studio game. And it's very much in that style in terms of the art and the general feel of the game. And so you run around as this guy and you have this pet that you can control, and you have to use him to solve a lot of puzzles along the way. So it's a bit of a platformer, climber, puzzle, kind of a lot of like a really good atmosphere in the game as well, and the story's quite good, and you're already starting to feel attached to the pet, which I believe is the main focus of it. However, it does feel a little bit dated. The controls are very, I wouldn't say clunky, but they're a little bit all over the shop. I find the camera angle's not very good, and I just find the controls they just don't really work for me. Jump fits to triangle, which just feels odd, because obviously you're used to it being X or the bottom button on the controller, so that just kind of feels odd. Sometimes you have to order your pet to walk somewhere and to climb up a wall, and then that enables you to climb up him and then reach a ledge that's higher up that you wouldn't otherwise be able to reach. So although I know what I want to do, sometimes to actually get him to do that is really frustrating, because it just doesn't seem to want to do what you're telling it to do. And the game also lacks quite a lot of direction. They kind of just throw you in and let you figure it out for yourself, which is kind of old school and kind of good. I used to like that about games, but also I think we've become so accustomed to at least having some form of tutorial that it just feels a little bit off, a little bit odd when that doesn't happen now. So you kind of, initially at the start I was in and I was like, oh, I don't really know what I'm doing. And there's a part in it where you can learn commands for your pet, and they're mapped to each of the 4 face buttons while holding the R1 button. And they don't even tell you what they do. You have to figure it out yourself, which is fine, but it's just I just don't know, I've just found it a little bit frustrating. But at the same time, I feel like I want to keep playing the game. So there's obviously something about it, and they're obviously doing something right. So I hope to go back to it. I hope I will. I know it's not particularly the biggest game, so that might lend itself quite well to me, because I've got a few busy weeks coming up. So it might lend itself quite well to how I'm going to be playing games over the coming weeks. So we will see. So I may report on that some more next week. And the final game to report on, the final game, is Assassin's Creed 2. So I mentioned last week that I started that again, and how the Ezio journey is one of my favourite series of games, and that I was looking forward to getting back into Assassin's Creed 2. Well, I did get back into it and I've completed it, and I'm almost got the platinum trophy. So I'm going to be working my way through the feathers, because that's pretty much all I have to get. And then obviously once you've got the feathers, there's one more to wear the cape in every city. So I had loads of fun playing that game. The only thing I didn't like was that it included the downloadable content, which I will talk about. I've got a little video that I'm working through editing now, so that will be coming up on my YouTube, and I do mention this briefly in the video. But they include the downloadable content for the broken sequences, which is 12 and 13, and they wasn't in the original game. You skipped from 11 to 14 in the original game, but in the Ezio collection they include them in, and you play through them in order. But they are very much DLC, so it is just assassination missions. And so chapter 12 is actually pretty good. I like it. It was a nice chapter. But 13 is just a bunch of assassination missions, and it's quite long to work your way through. And it just, at that point of the game, it didn't really add much to the game or to the story, and I was kind of just wanting to complete the game because that's how it was intended to be. And it would have been nice to have the option to pick whether you wanted to play them in order or whether you wanted to do it as intended, and then once you've completed the game, have them sequences unlock and play them as DLC. That would have been quite nice. But that's just a little thought. That's my own little personal gripe with it. I'm sure some people loved that it was in there. So not taking anything away from the game at all. I had loads of fun playing it. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to give myself a week where I'm not going to play any Assassin's Creed, apart from maybe getting the feathers. And then I'm going to jump into Brotherhood, because I don't want to burn out on it too quickly. So I'm going to jump into Brotherhood, complete that, give that another week or two, then jump into Revelations. So have some more to report on that within the next couple of weeks. So I think that is it. That is it for today's podcast. I don't think I have anything more to report on. We're sitting at 25 minutes at the currently, so that's about right. It's probably about right. So as always, hit all the buttons on YouTube if that's where you are watching or listening. Hit the subscribe, hit the like, and leave a comment, or send it to the email as mentioned earlier. Contact jpgaming@gmail.com. That's contact jpgaming@gmail.com. If you're listening on Spotify, then check out my YouTube page, please. JP Gaming. Check that out. You might like what you see. I aim to have a couple of videos every week, and it would mean the world to me if you could subscribe and like those videos. It just helped me grow and help me climb the charts, because I am a new channel and it's quite hard to get established. So any support would be much appreciated. As always, with them questions that you send, you can send some questions, you can send feedback, you can send suggestions, anything you like, really. I'm open. So yeah, I think we will leave it here for another week. I will be back again with a video or a couple of videos during the week on my YouTube channel, and I'll be back here with another podcast next week. So until then, have yourself some fun, enjoy your week, enjoy your days, play loads of games, get that gaming in while we can. And until next time, this was JP Gaming, and we are out.